childhood. Um, Star Wars is one of those movies that is a childhood staple through multiple generations. Same with Ninja Turtles. My parents, my yeah, I can say parents grew up with Ninja Turtles. They grew up with Transformers. So did I. I love that those franchises. Um, and again, different variations of everything, right? Star Wars has different variations through legends, through canon, through everything. Uh, Transformers has a few different variations, and Ninja Turtles has been rebooted fucking how many times? um, Rebooted, continued in different ways. There's one where they were all purged entirely of like their life. Um, and in one instance, so there's one instance where all the turtles die, right? Except for Raph. It is Raph. And I got into a spirited debate with a friend of mine on this because I had done my research, but I didn't do it as far as he had, and he hadn't done his research as far back as I did in that timeline, so he just knew the end and I knew the beginning. We finished each other's story. Basically, he was the end half, I was the beginning half, right? Okay. Raph believed all of his turtle friends to be dead. He obtained he adapted to use all their weapons, blah blah blah, right? And then Mikey was apparently alive. Didn't actually die, but Raph ended up dying. So then Mikey took on his persona. And it's weird to happen to Mikey, especially the fun, the fun spirited, the adventurous, the pizza loving, just empty mind, just the chill guy, really, of them all. And he's the comedic one. He's just kind of there. He's the spirit builder. He's the happiest one. It's just like, why did that have to happen to him? Why did he have to lose all of his brothers? He was one of the weakest. And yes, I'm gonna get into Turtles for just a minute. I don't know why I'm getting into Turtles so heavily all of a sudden. I finished Star Wars. It's fine. Um, so Turtles, right? Uh, in Hold on. Okay, anyway. My theory for how they've done split up teams and stuff like that before should have worked is entirely different. So what they did, there's a few different variations. There's two that I'm aware of. There's one that happened in the shows, and then one that's what else talked about how they should have done it. I'm gonna get into that for just a minute. So in one of the shows I believe it's 2014 or 2012, it's one or the other. Um, it's literally one of those two numbers. My personal favorite one, the most different of them all, actually, uh, and a very beloved Turtles franchise, even though it so far veers from the actual original storyline. So many people just support it. It's a good community there. Um, they believe in all of their fictions to be canon, so that's fine. Let them do their thing. Wish Star Wars had that kind of community. Anyway, what am I trying to say? Okay, there's an entire episode themed around this, right? They were splitting up by A and B team. The A team was their strongest members. The B team was their weaker members. Obviously, A team is Raph and Leo. No. First of all, that is not how you split up teams. It is not strongest or weakest, especially when you're each going out and doing your own thing. If the B team comes in to help, That's a different story. A team goes in, they do the thing. If they need B team, they call B team. That's kind of how B teams like that build are supposed to work. But no, they were doing individual missions. No, not how that should ever work in any media, in real life. Never. Never. Okay. A way someone has said that they should be split up. Now, Mikey and Donnie, great team, great dynamic duo. Same with Leo and Raph. And then there's one that a lot of people said they should have done. Mikey and Raph, Leo and Donnie. Hell no, because Mikey and Raph are not going to get along, especially in the 2012 version. Okay, they're not going to work well as a team there. But I can kind of see where that came from, because that is but like you have the two smart ones on the same team at that point. Like you gotta figure out how to balance them out. The two smartest ones, arguably Leo and Donnie. Now Raph is hot-headed, so he is unfocused. That's explained. He's hot-headed. He's unfocused. He's just entirely different. No, not different. What am I trying to say? He's just kind of entirely what am I trying to say? No, like I had a very specific thought. Where did it go? He's hot-headed, he's unfocused, he's uncoordinated, all that. Mikey is the same way, but in a different sense. He's too open-going, he's too chaotic. He needs to be more focused as well. But he's more of a, I'm a bounce off the fucking walls, but it's gonna help me. And Raph is more of a, I'm a bounce off the walls and anchor, and it's not gonna help me. So, yeah, you need a little more balance than that. You need someone with a level head, not someone who's uncoordinated and unfocused times 2, which is the Raph and Mikey team. So they would become the B team. They would become the weaker link. Now, they wouldn't be as weak as Donnie and Mikey, and I am perfectly comfortable defining that they are weak in their own senses. They are all strong in their own ways, right? But in the just regular basic combat, we're just going based off combat here, Leo and Raph take the cake 100%, full send. But putting Raph with Mikey, who's going to piss him off more than he already will be pissed off, yeah, not a good combination. So you put Raph with Donnie. There's been multiple instances where Raph kind of perturbs Donnie by breaking machines, by just being too hot-headed, right? But Donnie is always kind of able to calm him down, just kind of be his counter to that. Donnie is the level-headed, is one of the two most level-headed of the group. He is, entirely. So... Again, they all have their strong suits, they all have their weak points, right? But here's how to split them up into teams of 2 the best way. Right, okay. So again, Raph and Dom. One, because it's the only option left that doesn't entirely underpower one or the other. One side or the other. Donnie is tech-based. He loves his technology, loves strategy, loves thinking that kind of stuff through. He uses a reach weapon, and Raph, he has to get right up close and personal. Like he has to be on top of you to be able to actually fight. He has to punch you in the face. Donnie can just kind of jab, like from a 6 foot range, can just kind of jab, um, and that's fine. He needs to have that balance because he is not a fighter. He is a defender, heavily defender, strategizer, a strategist kind of thing. Like, personally, I think of myself in most games, especially where it's easy to be a strategist. I am a strategist. Sometimes I can be a healer, especially in Warframe. I'm able to be there. There's this one character, I forgot which one. They are heavy healer. They are heavy strategist all the way. Buff your team galore with his character. I can't remember who it is right now. I'll get back to you on that. But anyway, I can use that character to its full extent, and my team always loves me for it. And they try their immortal builds or whatever they're doing. My team always thanks me specifically because I am sitting there healing them and buffing them through the entirety of the game. And I'm not usually up in the fight. I'm usually in the background. I'm looting. I'm doing whatever I'm doing. If I see one of them is low, I'm going to heal. I'm going to pop the heal, right? I'm going to run around and heal the doggies, the animals, right? That kind of thing. That's how I am with most video games. I am a strategist heavily. Even in Call of Duty, if I had the potential in COD 6 to get a full team on the mic, just entirely me and my friends, 6 of us, right? We're fucking taking ass, okay? I am telling them where they need to be, given how I know they work. Especially, I can tell my brother, be in that window. That is your post. I can tell someone, be up there defending him, kind of thing. We will not lose. Like 90% of the time, we will not lose. And I'll be in the fight. In that game, I love being in the fight. It's kind of an anti-strategist of me, but it works out. It usually works out anyway. But not the point. Not the point at all. We're talking about turtles. So again, we then take Leo and Mikey. And they're a pretty good duo now. Mikey pisses Leo off just a little bit, right? He kind of just pisses everyone off at some points in time, but again, Leo is really level-headed. He's not just going to become as hot-headed as Raph out of nowhere. So putting Mikey, the most annoying one, with him, you're going to get a pretty good results in the end. And Mikey can be kept level-headed by Leo. And I think that's the best way to split it up. And they're not unevenly matched. Now, is Raph and Leo stronger than Mikey and Leo, or than Donnie and Raph? Yes. Yes, it is. For what that team does, absolutely is the strongest variant. But you gotta remember that the reverse exists. You can buff one side all the hell you want. You can make it as cool as you want for whatever you're doing, but you have to remember what is the other side doing. Because whatever they're doing, you have to work around. You have to switch these teams out, yes. All of these teams work in their own sense. They work in their own ways. They all, in one way or another, they work. Which is why they're usually a team of 4, because they need to keep each other level-headed. They need to keep each other in check and on balance. That is the entire point of these 4 the way they are. Of these 4 being the way they are. This is a dynamic quadruple. This is quite literally the easiest way to explain a dynamic team to anyone is the Ninja Turtles, right? So, keeping that in mind, let's tab over to Final Fantasy 15. If you know it, you know it. We can literally put those people to one of the turtles with no questions asked. So, there's Noctis. I almost said Nidus. No. There's Noctis, Prompto, Ignis, and Gladiolus. Noctis, the leader, the prince, he's a literal prince. The other 3 are his guard. So he's obviously the leader of the group. He's the one commanding them and telling them what to do, right? Well, alright. Leonardo. Heavily Leonardo, right? And then we go over to Ignis, who becomes blind, but he uses daggers, and that's kind of anti. Um, like Noctis actually uses swords. That's his main thing. That's what you start him out as. Um, the long ranged one is Prompto, which I would give to Mikey, but no, I'm going to give Ignis to Donatello because he is the smart one. He's the strategist. He's the one who's like, hey, by the way, he's the one conversing with the leader heavily, being like, hey, by the way, this won't work. We need this thing first. And then the leader is overall the decision maker on, do we do this or do we just kind of make it work the way we have it now? Leo and Donatello, heavily, multiple instances. I could give solid proof of this, right? Gladiolus, heavy hitter, strong dude, big, buff muscles, giant greatsword. Totally not Raph's weapon, but we're not getting into weapons, we're getting into attitude, we're getting into what they can do. He is the person who will turn the tides in a fight. Raph. He is heavily the one who will turn the tides in the fight, okay? He's right up there. He will defend you, he will knock things off of you, but he loses his temper. He loses his temper heavily. And there's always somebody there, and it's usually it makes a lot of sense to be Donatello for the turtles, just like it makes a lot of sense for that same person to be Ignis in the four in the group of four in 15 in Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy is a great franchise. I was introduced through 15, but I've played the first one a little bit. They're older games for the most part, except for the newer ones like 15 and 16. Everything after 10 is kind of your open world. Not 10. Everything after... No. 10 would be. Everything after 10, everything 10 and up is just kind of your open world, go explore. 10 isn't so much of that, but there's that dynamic there. 11, I've never played 11, but I've heard that it's pretty decently open. 12, pretty much go wherever the fuck you want. It is still heavily story focused. Those three games are entirely heavily story focused. I'm pretty sure 11's online. It's either 11 or 13 is online. But anyway, we then have 13, which, awesome, cool. Okay, we have 13. I don't know anything about 13 either, but I know that one's a little more open. And then 14 is MMO. Huge open world, go wherever the hell you want, focus on the story when you're ready, design how you go through the story. It's the same story for everyone at some point or another, but how you get there changes. Like D&D is a story-focused team-building game, right? That's what D&D is. Yeah, that game is a D&D game entirely because of the way that they build up with story, and then they tell you, hey, you're not ready to do that yet, you gotta go do some other shit first. Yeah, that's heavily a D&D thing. And then you have 15. Huge open world, not online though. Huge open world, go wherever the hell you want. You're pretty much not constricted to any space. You are free to go pretty much anywhere. There are certain points where you don't want to progress too far without finishing some of the stuff you would have otherwise missed. So just kind of keep that in mind. But yeah. But yeah, so anyway. It's a whole thing. It really is, it's a whole thing. Anyway. Hold on just a second. again, Ignis and Prompto, it's just the dynamic duo makes perfect sense. No, Ignis and Gladiolus is just the dynamic duo makes perfect sense. You go team, perfect, amazing, flawless. And again, here's another thing. So hold on just 1 second. Give me a minute. I'm gonna scratch my ear. Anyway. What am I even saying anymore? Right, Prompto. He is heavily Mikey. And I say that with no argument whatsoever, hopefully, but yeah, he is very much, he is Mikey. And I say that again, here's why mostly. So you know, Mikey is the fun going kind of just adventurous one. He uses guns, by the way. That's rather unimportant, but I figured y'all would like to know that. But yeah, so anyway, he is definitely the fun-loving, adventurous type. Just kind of not the serious one at all. He's the skater dude. That's it. So yeah, with that stereotypical perfect team of four, in reality, in all forms of media, pretty much that is the four main people that will support a team so heavily, right? Let's look at the Marvel side of this. Just because we can, let's look at the Marvel side of this. Okay. When I outright say it, Thor is Michelangelo. He is the less serious of them. He is always the comedic one. If there's a comedy to be had, there's comedy coming from him. Cap, obviously Leonardo. He's the leader. The leader is always Leonardo. There's a few exceptions in some forms of media. Hulk, Raphael. He turns the tides in the battle. He's the heavy hitter. He's the hot-headed. That's his entire being. And then Iron Man, obviously Donatello. He's the tech-savvy, smart dude who's just gonna help you in a way from a distance. Yeah, that's it. It's really simple to explain. It's really simple to break down. We could probably do the same for Justice League. Batman probably could be Donatello or Leonardo with his upbringing. But then let's go say Cyborg is definitely Donatello, so that would just leave Batman as Leonardo. But you could also say that Superman would be Leonardo, so yeah. Batman isn't really in this one. So Superman is heavily just straight up focused on being Leonardo, keeping the team together, kind of just being the leader, right? And now obviously he's not the one that makes the consecutive decisions. That's why Batman is partially Leonardo. Again, there's one of those exceptions. Batman could also be considered a Donatello, but Cyborg is more heavily Donatello, especially since he's made of tech, halfway made of tech. Who else? Let's say we could probably say Flash is Michelangelo. He's the funny one. He's the dude that would ride a skateboard into a battlefield for no fucking reason whatsoever. And then who does that leave? That leaves Raph. So I could see that being Batman, but Raph is more open to killing than Batman by far. But as far as like turning the tides in a fight, I would definitely give that to Superman again. If not Superman, then it would have to go to Batman. I'm trying to see who else could. We got, what, Wonder Woman and fucking Aquaman, right? And that's just the movie versions. Let's delve deeper a little bit. Let's see if we can get it to like the comic accurate Martian Manhunter. No, he wouldn't be a Raphael. Um, well, certain instances of Cyborg could be Raph, but then we'd have to give Batman Donatello. Uh, so in a way, we could do it. It's just not as easy with the Justice League. I'll give you that one. Well, myself that one because I came up with it. But anyway, so yeah, dynamics all work that way in most media. It's just in general. Um, if there's more than four people, oftentimes you can get it to down to four people heavily being mostly this or the other, um, and then two or three of them, whoever's left over, pretty much kind of being half and half. Uh, so yeah, we can definitely chalk that up to just about any four-person team. We can even throw it into an eight-person team as two divisions of the Turtles. Uh, again, absolutely amazing ideology there. Try and connect your own dots with those. Throw yourself maybe into the Invincible franchise. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on that one. Like, first of all, what team are we using? Are we just using random characters that would be a good team if we used them as the Turtles that they would represent the most? Or the Turtles that represent them the most, I guess. I don't really know, but I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on maybe Invincible, a few other ones. Come up with your own, kind of just, agree or disagree with what I have said, but yeah, I think this video is done. I dragged it out way too far for being a Star Wars focused video. And also, I've talked about a lot of shit, brought a lot of important subjects up that are important to me, and have cleared up a lot of confusion, hopefully. So yeah, we're just gonna. I'm gonna figure out where I stop talking about Star Wars and start talking about Ninja Turtles. I'm gonna make this 2 videos.